Hello, class of 2020. I am so sorry we cannot meet in person today, but I am also extremely proud of the grace, resilience, and character you have demonstrated in these unusual and unprecedented times. I want to start by thanking our faculty, staff, coaches, community, and parents. Tremont really is one family, and your love and support are why we are at this milestone today. Class of 2020, congratulations on all your accomplishments and for the time and energy you have put into the last 13 years to make it to this moment. We've come a long way since grade school, when the girls chased the boys with jump ropes every day at recess, and certain boys, who I won't name, had a competition to see who could date the most girls in 1 week. By middle school, we showed some faint traces of maturity, but first had to be lectured by Mr. Garrett in 5th grade for being awful to our teachers. High school brought even more change, and a 3-year winning streak for homecoming as well. We got to break in new teachers, like the infamous Mr. Dixler, as well as Senora Spangler, in whose class a group of boys broke at least 3 desks sophomore year. Needless to say, besides the occasional cooking mishap in Mrs. Keach's kitchen, or a minor collision in the school parking lot, our high school experience has been a good one, filled with many memories. Class of 2020, as we come to a milestone and a time of transition in our lives, there is a question I want to ask you. What is your purpose in life? Many call this driving force, this passion, this foundation that you build the rest of your life on, your true north. It's your internal compass, stemming from the core of who you are. If everything else fades away, what are the values that you are left with? Because these values establish your boundaries and principles. For some, their true north is a career, a relationship, or a life goal or mission. And for others, such as myself, it is an intimate and personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Finding your true north is essential because it shapes who you are and what you do for the rest of your life. It determines your legacy and the mark you leave on the world. If you fake it till you make it, you won't just be unsuccessful, you will be miserable. Please don't spend your time worrying about the expectations of others. Instead, find your own dream to pursue. Your true north is not a destination. It is an ongoing journey and takes a lifetime of commitment and learning. As you find your life's purpose, let it reflect in what you do every single day. Because as we have all seen during this pandemic, today is a gift, and we are not guaranteed tomorrow. So, soon-to-be graduates of the Tremont High School class of 2020, my challenge to you in the coming months and years as we go our separate ways into the real world is to find your identity and what you want to leave as your legacy. Find what you're passionate about and pursue it with every day you are given. Find your true north. Thank you.
Better safe than sorry, am I right? Hello, everybody. You all must have heard that I was speaking at the graduation ceremony today because no one decided to show up. Many of you may know that I am a positive and optimistic person, so I would like to kick off my speech by explaining some of the positives that have come out of this pandemic. First off, in relation to the empty gymnasium, many of you may be disappointed that we were not able to have a full-on, in-person ceremony like usual. However, I don't know about you, but every time I think about a graduation ceremony in this gym, I instantly start to sweat and my arm begins to cramp up. So at least be thankful that you are watching this from the comfort of your own couch and air conditioning. Secondly, pass-fail grades, are you kidding me? These last couple months of online schooling has been a breeze. I literally just bribed my dog with peanut butter to type my whole 8-page term paper since I would get a good grade regardless. Lastly, around mid-February, I had sent out a Google document to every senior called Definitely Not a Senior Prank and asked everyone to share any senior prank ideas they had onto the document. For unlike previous classes, we actually wanted to do a good senior prank. After getting around 47 ideas, I then sent out a survey to every senior and then had them vote for their favorite idea. The votes came in, but unfortunately, school was closed before we were able to pull it off. This was bad for us seniors, but good for everyone else because the school is now safe against a senior prank this year. Or is it? Man, what a crazy 4 years it has been, and what an accomplishment it is to finally be able to graduate this year. Many of you guys balance jobs, extracurricular activities, and/or sports on top of being full-time students. That also includes all the drama, stress, and hardships that can come with having a bunch of teenagers together in the same building every weekday. All the students and parents also handled the transition to online school very well, achieving a participation rate of 99% across all grades, as mentioned by the school district. However, that compliment doesn't just belong to the students, for the teachers and administration are the ones that help facilitate the whole transition. Thank you for conquering a confusing situation that has never ever occurred before. We all truly appreciate your extreme dedication to us, which started before we even walked through the high school doors for the first time. Although these past 2 months may have been difficult, challenging, or just plain boring, I believe that being quarantined may be a blessing in disguise. I say this because having more free time allows us to do some serious self-reflection and refinement. What if after this all blows over, we never took any simple thing for granted, like spending extra time with your families, being able to hug your grandparents, getting coffee with a friend, or even having to go to school. This abnormal time should help us to realign our values, realizing what is truly important in this life, preparing us to conquer any other challenge we may face going forward. If we keep this in mind, all the while holding on to the truth that the good Lord has everything in the palm of His hand, our lives will look a lot different when the world is back to normal. But before we officially go our separate ways, I want to address the fact that March 13th was our actual last day of school, yet none of us knew it. That being said, us seniors were not able to properly say goodbye to everyone at THS. So on behalf of the class of 2020, here is an official farewell. Goodbye, Mr. Gossmeyer, Mrs. Jansen, Mr. Dixler, and Mrs. Sisson. All of your efforts to patiently teach us confusing math concepts is very appreciated, especially with an honors geometry class that just flipped expo markers most of the time. Goodbye, Mrs. Wicks, Mrs. Light, Mrs. Ballard, and dare I say, Mrs. Vick, for because of you all, I can now read Shakespeare, write a killer speech, and sing the whole Hamilton soundtrack by memory. Goodbye, Mr. Marilla, Mr. Imig, and Mrs. Kahn. Your high energy and fun teaching styles help to make science very enjoyable. And Mrs. Kahn, I'm sorry for your loss. Your fish may be gone, but it will never be forgotten. Goodbye, Mrs. Bagby, Mr. Reinhold, and Miss Fink. Our biology classes may have had some unexpected turbulence, but you guys helped us through it all. Goodbye, Miss Ramlow. Your unparalleled positivity will be missed. Goodbye, Mr. Schmidt, who yelled at my AP Psychology class with such vigor and passion to explain to us how Texas sheet cake and brownies are definitely 110% not the same thing. Goodbye, Senora Wallace, whose water actually broke during school. And goodbye to our next Spanish teacher, Master Spangler, who had a famous line of, "Okay guys, escuchen!" Goodbye, Mrs. Bain, who provided a creative and hands-on environment in every ag class. Goodbye, Miss Eve. I promise my weekends will always be good and my decisions will be great. Goodbye, Mama Keach, whose cooking classes always made the hallways smell different every day. Goodbye, Mr. Edwards, who works hard every year to get the choir and madrigal sounding great. Goodbye, Mr. Hillrich, who somehow survived 2 band trips to Florida with our class. Goodbye, Mrs. Roller, who helped decorate this school with drawings all along the walls from the students that she taught. Goodbye, Mr. Schwenk and Mr. Martin. You guys are probably the coolest teachers we know. Goodbye, Mr. Kubin, Mrs. Kusk, Mr. Frank, and Mr. Wicks, for you all helped us get swole. Goodbye to every sports coach that mentored us and showed us how to work hard. But with our class now graduating, good luck with sports next year. Goodbye to the whole special education department. Your warm smiles and complete dedication to your students is highly valued. Goodbye to the rest of the administration and staff in the high school, middle school, and grade school. You guys run the show extremely well and have grown us into the fine men and women we are today. Goodbye to the class of 2020. You guys are all friends for life, and I hope that we will be able to make up for lost time by partying it up at every high school reunion. And finally, goodbye, Tremont. We are all truly blessed to live in such a loving community and a wonderful town. No matter where we settle down in the next 5 to 10 years, Tremont will forever be our home. Thank you.
Tremont High School uses a 3-tiered system to categorize graduates with the highest cumulative grade point averages. This system matches that of many colleges and universities, categorizing students as cum laude, magna cum laude, and summa cum laude. The highest category, summa cum laude, is made up of students who achieve a cumulative GPA of 3.98 to 4.0. I would like to recognize those students at this time. These students have achieved summa cum laude status over their entire 8-semester high school career and will receive a medal to commemorate this honor. Allison Connor, Peter Hall, Nora Hodges, Abigail Cook, Sean Meyer, Catherine Moser, Sydney Ropp, and Tressa Sherman. Congratulations to the summa cum laude graduates from the class of 2020. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to Tremont High School for what is definitely the most unusual graduation ceremony of my career. I hope we are able to recognize our graduates in a way that is memorable and deserving. Normally, I begin my graduation speeches by roasting a few students, but since they're not sitting before me where I can see their reaction, I'll do things a bit differently this year and work some of that into the rest of the speech. Please don't be disappointed if I don't mention your name. And please, please don't be upset if I do. It's all in good fun. Before I begin, happy birthday, Andrew Rumbold. It's not really his birthday, it's actually 2 weeks from today, but around here, every day is Andrew Rumbold's birthday. Happy real birthday tomorrow, though, to Isaac Lennington and Lizzie Freidinger. Okay, let me start with a story that I promise you is fiction. Once upon a time, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Running behind in the morning, I thought, well, better late than never. I was down in the dumps most of the day, and to add insult to injury, I encountered Caden Buster, who was droning on about one of his many conspiracy theories. He always had an axe to grind about something. Something's not fair this, something's not fair that, blah, blah, blah. As luck would have it, Josh Reisinger walked by, so, bored to tears, I ended my conversation with Caden abruptly and approached Josh. But he was all bent out of shape because his beloved San Antonio Spurs lost last night. But I figured I'd bite the bullet and let him blow off some steam. I said, well, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Just because they can't cut the mustard anymore doesn't mean you have to cry your eyes out about it. I hate to burst your bubble, Josh, but the Spurs are yesterday's news. Josh replied, well, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. They just needed to take it one game at a time, and then he walked away. As I walked back to the office, I saw Mr. Zier chatting with his old pal, Zach Merritt. Stubborn as a mule, Zach always has something up his sleeve, unless he's wearing one of his patented sleeveless shirts. Sun's out, guns out, right, Zach? It was the same old story. Zach had traded some bikes for some energy drinks again. Time and time again, Zach would use his own bartering system to get what he wanted. There's a sucker born every minute, he said, describing how he liked to pull a fast one from time to time. You gotta make hay while the sun shines. I heard him say that as I continued on to the office. From a distance, I heard Emma Schultz say, you know, Zach, what goes around comes around. Finally arriving in the office, it was like going out of the frying pan and into the fire. Mrs. Keach's sweatshop gang was waiting to talk to me. Look what the cat dragged in, said Hillary Mason. You look like death warmed over, added Maddie Schmidt. I'm just trying to make the best of a bad situation, I said. I heard through the grapevine that Mrs. Keach wanted to make 65,000 t-shirts to give away at the next Bears game. Who let the cat out of the bag? Asked Caden Cruz. Yeah, that really rubs me the wrong way, said Nate Wynn. Your t-shirt business is as poor as a church mouse, I said. Allie Gillette responded, well, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Mrs. Keach has a bee in her bonnet and wants to do this project to show everyone she's willing to go the extra mile. Let's set the record straight. I'm not going to pull any punches, I said. I'm going to give you my 2 cents worth. It's a real uphill battle at this point, but when the going gets tough, the tough get going. I think you're playing with fire, but opportunity doesn't knock twice. I'll be on pins and needles waiting to see how you can handle 65,000 t-shirts. I hope you don't bite off more than you can chew. Oh, don't be such a stick in the mud, said Trey Hinman, a real chip off the old block, as the whole group returned to the sweatshop. Finally, I saw my office and my chair. It was par for the course for me to have this kind of day, but there was light at the end of the tunnel. All I wanted to do was sit down, lick my wounds, and take a load off. As I sat in my chair, I kicked up my feet, hoping I was out of the woods for the rest of the day. Now, it's good that this ceremony is being filmed because you can go back and watch it over and over again, and you can count how many times I raised my hand. The point of the story, if you noticed, is that I used a lot of cliches. In fact, by my count, it was over 50. I easily could have worked more into it as well. What exactly is a cliche? Well, the definition of a cliche is a phrase or opinion that is overused and betrays a lack of original thought. The message I have for all the graduates today is to not be like a cliche. Be unique. Be original. Don't be afraid to, pardon the cliche, think outside the box. Better yet, live outside the box. If you follow sports, you see cliches used constantly by athletes, coaches, and broadcasters. A typical post-game press conference will seemingly include dozens of them. Take it one game at a time, put your best foot forward, bring our A game, put on our game face, on and on and on. Not exactly original thoughts, not exactly saying much of anything at all, actually. One time at a school board meeting, Mr. Hinman misquoted a cliche that became something of a legend among our administrative team. Instead of saying, "I don't want to beat a dead horse," meaning he didn't want to continue a pointless conversation or argument, he said, "I don't want to beat this with a dead horse," which nearly made me laugh out loud in the middle of my very first Tremont board meeting. Just picturing Mr. Hinman using a dead horse like a baseball bat cracks me up even today. Happy retirement, by the way, Mr. Hinman. That misspeak 8 years ago was the inspiration for this entire speech. Speaking of 8 years ago, when I arrived in Tremont 8 years ago, my first graduating class, the class of 2013, wore t-shirts that read, "We're the class they warned you about." I remember commenting on that at their graduation and pointing out that they really weren't as bad as they thought they were. Honestly, the class I was warned about 8 years ago was the 5th grade class. That's right, the ones graduating here today. But they aren't as bad either, by any stretch of the imagination, as I was led to believe they might become. In fact, this class includes some of the most thoughtful, mature, and downright friendly students I've ever worked with. Catherine Moser, Nora Hodges, and Abigail Cook are more mature than I am, probably smarter too. There are a lot of unique personalities in this class. Have you ever listened to a conversation involving Daniel Burnham, A.J. Howard, and Jonathan Poppenhaus? There's nothing cliche about that. Bizarre? Yeah. Cliche? No way. Jake Pierce's delivery of the daily joke? One of a kind. Not funny, but one of a kind. PE class with Ryan Wagenbach and Titus Thompson was unlike anything I've ever observed. Alex Berger wants to be a barber. That's definitely not cliche for a high school kid. Maggie Murphy's one of the least cliche students I've ever encountered. And there isn't a cliche out there that fits Noah Hangst, but his mom's baking skills will definitely bring a cliche to mind. They'll knock your socks off. Tarly Fitzenko is literally the only Tarly I've ever known. And then Ruby Harding. Oh, Ruby, what will school be like next year without you? I could go on, and I'd love to comment on all 94 of these fine young adults, but I don't want to have to burn the midnight oil here. Okay, I forced that one. The point is, yes, the class of 2020 was actually the class I was warned about from the time they were in 5th grade. But you know what? I'm really proud of what they've all become, individually and as a group. And to top it off, the way their senior year ended will always be far from cliche and very, very, very unique. So as you all leave THS behind, remember these cliches to help you become more successful, but also remember that it's important to not become cliche yourself. Don't burn bridges. Good things come to those who wait. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Beggars can't be choosers. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. A penny saved is a penny earned. The early bird catches the worm. There's more than one way to skin a cat. No guts, no glory. And always, hold your head up high, because you'll always be a Turk. Mr. Hinman, it's my distinct honor to present to you this class as meeting the requirements for graduation established by the Tremont District 702 School Board and the Illinois State Board of Education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. That's always a tough act to follow. On behalf of the Tremont 702 Board of Education, I too extend a sincere congratulations to the class of 2020 on this most unique graduation day that ends this most unusual school year. You certainly finished your high school career in a manner we will never forget. While 2020 will be memorable or forgettable for a number of things, a real head-scratcher has been the panic purchase of toilet paper, which led to great shortages through much of the past few months. A lack of this essential item can be very concerning. However, I would argue that just about any other resolution to this problem would be better than what the ancient Romans devised. They would use the same communal cleansing sponge attached to a long stick called a tersorium. It was cleaned after each use by storing it in a container filled with salt water or vinegar. Obviously, the exposure to a high degree of bacteria on the sponge was just a bit incongruent with the sanitation standards of today. But that wasn't the worst part. The Romans also had to worry about spontaneous combustion from the hydrogen sulfide and methane flames exploding beneath these public restrooms called latrines. So maybe things aren't so bad. With that introduction, I again offer my heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2020 on this momentous occasion. Thank you for the opportunity to be such a small part of your journey. Watching your class grow, develop, and interact in the halls of our school, along with all the others over the years, is certainly a blessing that I will always greatly cherish. As one who has a keen interest in this particular class, I'm coming at this thing from a whole different perspective this year, and in many ways, a bit of denial that it's actually happening. 18 years shouldn't go by this quickly. Over the course of this last week, I've looked at your grade school yearbooks, particularly your kindergarten pictures. As a parent, I chuckled out loud several times, may have teared up just a little bit, but mostly I laughed at your expense. I so badly wanted to call out a few of you, but the list got so long. Let me just encourage you to spend some time looking through those books. Wow. As many of your parents can probably relate, it seems like just yesterday these little bundles of joy arrived amidst the chaos and uncertainty of the immediate pre or post September 2001 terrorist attacks. We worried about the world you'd be growing up in. Fast forward to your senior year. The COVID-19 pandemic shut down schools across the country. Here in Illinois, from March 16 through the remaining school year, these halls were empty. Given the varying messages being delivered during this crisis, your parents and I all wonder about the world you're inheriting. If you've experienced sadness, frustration, anger, and any one of about a dozen other emotions over the last 2 months, is completely understandable. I'm finally graduating too, and I know firsthand how you might be feeling. When you consider the health and the economic prosperity of our country, of our state, of our families, of our businesses, and our students, we have lost a lot. Today, though, on the celebration of your graduation, I'd like to focus on what we've gained, what I pray you've gained. You have gained the respect and admiration from a Tremont community that has always been supportive of our youth and our schools. Thank you for making District 702 residents so very proud of the character you've demonstrated throughout this unprecedented event. I sincerely hope you can make it back to town for homecoming. The homecoming festivities this fall, are going to be our opportunity to have a community-wide celebration of your accomplishment. You've also gained an understanding that every job is essential in our country. During this crisis, especially in the large cities, a special shout out is given to those in the medical field, first responders everywhere, and all those responsible for the supply chain of food and groceries from production to delivery to the markets. You've gained an appreciation for the trials and struggles of previous generations. What we're dealing with now is hard, but knowing the uncertainties that awaited the graduates of 1917, 1930, of 1942, of 1951, of 1968, of 2002, or any one of a number of years in between, this struggle seems manageable. You've gained the experience of taking nothing for granted and that the uncertainties of life are real. You've gained a practical understanding of the dysfunctional political climate in our country right now. And I hope that your generation is ticked off enough to demand better moving forward. You have gained a front row seat to acts of goodness everywhere. While we read or see or hear about the negatives and the extremes of our world, mostly on television shows disguised as journalism, CNN and Fox, please know that random acts of good outnumber the bad by a wide margin. I encourage you to always default to kindness, human being to human being. Finally, I hope that you gained an appreciation for the things that really matter most. Faith, family, friends come immediately to mind. Maybe it's life at a little slower pace. Maybe it's learning to accept that there are some things out of your control. Maybe we all just need to chill from time to time and go with the flow. I'm really, really saddened that the class of 2020 in Tremont and across the country all find themselves in this very same lousy situation. But again, I'm so impressed with the way you've handled this thing. You are leaving THS with heads high, looking forward to bigger and better things on the horizon. But again, please try to come back to homecoming this next fall. We want to celebrate your class with all of you together. You make me proud. The confidence I've got in your generation is at an all-time high, despite inheriting so many bad examples and a worldwide pandemic. You've got this, a strong foundation behind you, limitless potential ahead. There are great things in store for the class of 2020. Enjoy the ride. Let your journey continue. God bless you. Congratulations. The presentation of diplomas will obviously be unique this year. While your video will show everyone over a short period of time, for posterity's sake, I wanted to mention that we're following social distancing protocol and having you come in at designated times over the course of about 6 hours on Sunday, May the 17th, 2020. All District 702 board members will be represented at some point during today's program. Special thanks to those members: Board President Dr. Volkan Sumer, Vice President Robert Ropp, Secretary Renee Kaiser, and additional members Kevin Ulrich, Todd Kilgus, Drew Garrick, and Kevin Smith. Finally, as you walk across the stage to receive your diplomas today, your tassel will go over your right eye. After climbing down the stairs, you'll be permitted to slide your tassels over your left eye, signifying your accomplishment as a high school graduate and the newest alumni of Tremont High School. Having met the requirements set by both the Illinois State Board of Education and the Tremont Board of Education, I hereby accept this class and certify that these individuals have graduated from this fine institution. Maya Rain Andrews. Maya is a cum laude graduate. Louis George Bear. Congratulations, Louis. Alex Michael Berger. Michaela Ann Biggs. Michaela is a magna cum laude graduate and a graduate of distinction. Maggie Joanne Bulliger. Maggie is a cum laude graduate. Nevaeh Ruth Marie Brassard. Shane Neil Bressler. Daniel Cutler Burnham. Caden Paul Michael Buster. Lauren Elbreth Cassidy. Lauren is a magna cum laude graduate and an Illinois State Scholar. Avery Leanne Clark. Allison Michelle Connor. Allison is a summa cum laude graduate and an Illinois State Scholar. Austin Douglas Drum. Kendall James Enley. Kendall was a cum laude graduate.
Marco Philip Falcone. Tanner Uriah Finnan. Tanner was a cum laude graduate. Sarah Elizabeth Finnegan. Tarly Marie Fitzenko. Tarly was a cum laude graduate. Congratulations. Taylor Keithlin Fredericks. Elizabeth Jane Freidinger. Terrence Jackson Gardner. Terrence was a cum laude graduate. James Patrick Getz. Jill McKenna Gingrich. Daniel Keith Gard, Jr. Allison Lynn Gillette. Allison is a cum laude graduate. Caden Gregory Hagan. Peter Theodore Hall. Peter is a summa cum laude graduate and also an Illinois State Scholar. Ruby Isabel Harding. Nathan Paul Haley. Noah Michael Hengst. Noah is also a cum laude graduate. Congratulations.
Brady Lee Hild. Brady is a cum laude graduate. Trey Jeffrey Hinman. Nora Rose Hodges. Nora is a summa cum laude graduate and an Illinois State Scholar. Anthony James Edward Howard. Drew Daniel Johnson. Grace Fahan Kaiser. David Kevin King. Abigail Lynn Cook. Abigail is a summa cum laude graduate, an Illinois State Scholar, and a graduate of distinction. Caden Dale Cruz. Joshua Aaron Lashbrook. Abigail Peggy Rose Leber. Abby is also a cum laude graduate. Marissa Pamela Leitner. Sarah Noel Leitner. Sarah is a cum laude graduate. Nolan Peyton Leva. Isaac Sean Lennington. John Kendall Love III.
Morgan Lindsay Madsen. Morgan is a cum laude graduate. Janie Rose Manningham. Janie is a cum laude graduate. Hillary Catherine Mason. Faith Maureen Mathis. Faith is a cum laude graduate. Cade Matthew McKinley. Zachary Michael Merritt. Sean Philip Meyer. Sean is a summa cum laude graduate and an Illinois State Scholar. Dylan Wade Michael. Dylan is a cum laude graduate. Hannah June Miller. Congratulations. Aiden Samuel Moser. Catherine Sharon Moser. Catherine is a summa cum laude graduate and an Illinois State Scholar. Maureen Erin Murphy. Nathan Allen Dat Wynn. Olivia Claire Newkirk. Kara Lynn Ogle. Kara is a cum laude graduate. Rebecca Grace Olson. Rebecca is a magna cum laude graduate.
Jonathan Wendell Poppenhaus. Ava Grace Fletter. Ava graduated with cum laude honors at THS. Landon David Fletterer. Landon graduated with magna cum laude honors, and he is also a graduate of distinction. Jacob Dayton Pierce. Nicholas Von Pelker. Joshua Douglas Reisinger. Logan Richard Roller. Logan is a cum laude graduate. Sydney K. Ropp. Sydney is a summa cum laude graduate, an Illinois State Scholar, and a graduate of distinction.
Andrew Kenneth Rumbold. Destiny Marie Saul. Rebecca Lynn Saul. Adelina Paige Souter. Adelina is a cum laude graduate. Jacob Michael Shear. Tressa Ann Sherman. Tressa is a summa cum laude graduate and an Illinois State Scholar. Madeline Juliana Schmidt. Madeline is a cum laude graduate. Emma Catherine Schultz. Cody Mitchell Sharp. Olivia Nicole Simpkins. Grayson Z. David Smiley. Aaliyah Renee Springer. Ethan Benjamin Steiner. Ethan is a magna cum laude graduate, an Illinois State Scholar, and a graduate of distinction. Amber Kathleen Stieghorst. Blaze Dean Stieghorst. Nina Ann Stuber. Zaki Sumer. Leland was a magna cum laude graduate and also an Illinois State Scholar. Titus John Thompson. Ian Matthew Tippett. Micah David Traver. Aaron Charles Wagenbach. Aaron is a cum laude graduate. Ryan Michael Wagenbach. Cameron Rose Williams. Cameron is a cum laude graduate. Dakota Michael Wilson.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to present and be the first to congratulate the 125th graduating class of Tremont High School. Best wishes to you all.